guys, welcome back to my channel. So Let's Resin was super awesome and sent me some goodies this week, so we are going to have a look at them and then play around with some. Now this is their fast cure resin set, which I have never tried fast cure resin. I've always tried the 8 hours or pretty much the next day type deals. So in this kit, you get a bunch of the 8-ounce plastic cups, which I use all the time and I absolutely love using them. So it's great. I don't have to worry about buying them. Then they also give you the little mixing cups. They give you some resin pigments and some larger mixing sticks. You get both parts A and B, and you also get some pipettes in here. Super great kit. You also get super detailed instructions on how to use the resin and just everything, right? Like these are some serious instructions that just tells you every step of the way, everything that you need to do. So I am looking forward to trying this out. Like I really am. Again, not having something that cures fast is not, I'm really looking forward to it. Anyway, they also sent me their thermochromic words today. Thermochromic powders, which I've never played with. Guys, we're going to be playing with these today and making some really cool stuff. So you get 5 different colors in here, and I will have the colors up on the screen later on as we kind of get into it a little bit more and you guys are actually seeing them. You also get 4 of those tiny little spoons, which always come in handy. And yeah, I'm super excited to try them. Now, they also did send me their kind of like beginner's kit of just their regular epoxy resin. You get a bunch of popsicle sticks, which are great. Use them all the time. You get some gloves. You get a silicone little spatula tooly thing. And you get both parts A and B of resin. I want to say they're like 8 ounces each, but I can't remember off the top of my head. They also give you some nail powders, which is cool. We're going to play with those later. You get their ocean white pigment. Guys, I have been wanting to try this for so long, and I'm so excited to have it. Like, you don't even know. You get more of those tiny little mixing cups. You get 4 plastic mixing cups. You get a heat gun, which is a serious looking heat gun, and I mean, I have one, but it's old and beat up, and I can't tell you how many times I've stuck the tip of it in resin getting too close. So a new one is greatly appreciated, and I can definitely use it. That's for sure. And it's a nice one too. Like it looks really nice. So super excited about this. And then again, they include very detailed instructions for beginners on how to use resin and all of that kind of stuff, which is great. It's honestly, it's a great beginner's kit. But today we're going to play with these thermochromic powders. Thermochromic. Eventually I will say it right. And we're going to make some jewelry and keychains. Now, I've never messed with any kind of color changing colors before, and I'm really excited to try it. Kind of want to see how they're going to do, so I figured let's do some small scale kind of playing around before I go big, because I do have an idea of something that I want to try, but first I kind of need to know how these work. I mean, I know in theory how they work, right? Like, I get it, but to actually use them and know how they work when you're using it and out of something that's actually been made. Do you know what I mean? So that's what I want to do today. Kind of play around with it, but we're going to do some UV resin and see what we can come up with. Now, I'm going to be honest, I didn't have a game plan starting out. I just knew I wanted to play with these colors, and I figured something fast, easy, UV resin, kind of the way to go on it. So that's what we're going to do. Now this is the dark green lime, which in the pot, it looks like it's like a blue color before it gets mixed in resin. Now, after it gets mixed in resin, to me, it looks teal. I don't personally get dark green at all out of it. And I did notice that they do kind of change colors as they mix in resin. Now, this is typical of, a bunch of different things I've seen that darken or, change color when you put them in something wet. we'll see how it goes. I do like the color. I like teal, so that's it's kind of like a me thing anyway. But I just personally don't get dark green from it. Anyway, back to the video. So all I'm doing right now is I just took a tiny bit of that powder because messing with UV resin, you don't want to make anything too dark so that, it's not going to get, or shouldn't say dark, too opaque so it's not going to get through, the light won't get through it. So I am trying to make it somewhat semi transparent so that when I put it under that dual Let's Resin light, I'm not going to have any issues curing it, but I am doing thin layer here just to make sure I don't have any issues. I'm not sure either, having never used these before, like how thin do you need it? How thick do you need it? Does it matter where it's placed in the piece for it to actually change color? So, there's a lot of variables that I don't know the answer to at this point, and it definitely, need to play around with it some more. Okay, so that color's done. Got it in here. Now let's move on to the next piece and kind of see where we go. Now, I am using my NicPro UV resin today. Okay, so this was the violet something. I forgot already because I wasn't paying attention to the screen as the color popped up. Yeah, I know. It's purple. It's a very, very dark, deep purple in the pot once it's been mixed. I did feel like I had made it a little too opaque, so I am going to put a little bit more in there just to kind of thin it out some more. And then I decided that why not make a tune tone color? I've got, the a little bit of that dark green one left, so those colors look pretty together in my opinion, so we're going to just go with it. Like I said, we're playing around with it. I just want to see what they're going to do, how they're going to react, and all of that good stuff. So why not? And then we're going to go and make sure that we have a piece just by itself of just that color. And yeah, so that's pretty much all I'm going to do for the next few colors. And I am going to kind of not mix up like physically actually mix the colors together, but I am going to put several different colors in one, and I don't want to waste any of this stuff. And I am just using a little bit when I put it in here, just because I don't want any issues. No, that's not why at all. I was looking at this screen and forgot what I was saying. um, just because I don't want to waste it. Like maybe you don't need a whole super lot to make it work. So, I mean, look, I was able at the beginning of the video just to kind of put my thumb on the powder on the lid, and it changed. Like that was real time. That wasn't sped up, and it changed like almost instantaneously. So if I don't have to use a lot, I don't want to use a lot. The pots aren't like super big. They're like the same size that all of their like chameleon powders and all that stuff come in. So I don't want to waste them. I want to make sure that I can stretch them out and use them as much as possible for what I have. Okay, so this is the purple pink one, and I do like purple a lot. I think it's super pretty. And I'm kind of curious to see what color it turns once you mix it in. Like, is it going to be darker? Because they all seem to go a little darker than the powder itself when you mix it. It is, but it is definitely like you can definitely see the purple, which is cool. And it's a very, very pretty purple. I like it a lot. All right, so in the mold it goes. Now, typically, for me personally, I like the ovals, I like the circles, and I like the squares as far as molds go. I'm not too into the other kind of weirdish shaped ones that aren't in this particular mold, but that's just me. Now I decide that since I've got pretty much all but one color mixed up, I'm gonna kind of play around with it and do some different designs and different patterns and stuff like that with the remainder of some of these before I mix up that last color. Just because why not? I mean, like I said, I've got no game plan at this point other than to play with these. Like, I have no idea what I'm doing. Generally speaking, I've got some sort of thing going on in my head that I'm like, I need to do. This, I don't. So I'm just kind of flying by the seat of my pants on this one. Like, honestly, that's what's going on right now. And all right, now for this last one. Now, this is the orange yellow. I'm going to be honest. I at first was not digging this color at all. Like, I thought it was. I'm not a huge orange person. I say, as the last video I did was pretty orange on that tray. But typically speaking, I'm not. I feel like this orange kind of has undertones of brown in it. Like, that's just kind of like what I get when I see it right now. However, however, after I finished it, I really like this one a lot. Like, it's up in my top 5 of all of the pieces that I do. All right, so this one's done. I used all the ones that I wanted to use in that particular mold. So we're going to let that cure for 2 minutes before we go on to play with some more and do the next steps on those. Now I'm just going to kind of use up the rest of these colors. So now I'm going in with just whatever, like whatever kind of struck my fancy and it is what I'm gonna try. I just want to see what it looks like. I want to see what they look like when they are kind of like heated up and they change color, like what they look like together. So I'm just gonna kind of go in here, and I didn't want to mix any more up. I don't want to waste any more, so I'm just kind of using what's left, and that's pretty much it. And I don't know, like it's hard to kind of talk about what you're thinking when you don't know what you were thinking to begin with, because there was no plan behind any of it, if that makes sense. Like, doing this voiceover today is a lot harder than normal, because normally I have a plan on what my vision is, what I see that I can relate to you guys, but I had no vision for this one. Like, none at all. So I was just kind of like trying to figure it out, I guess, as I went along. And honestly, like, I was kind of worried because I didn't have a vision, like, that it was just, they were all just gonna come out and just look like complete crap. But all in all, I like almost every single one of them. There's the one that I'm doing right now is not like, nah, I don't care for it at all. The one that I put the dots of color in, I honestly was like, this is probably going to be garbage. Like, it doesn't seem like it's going to be anything great. It's actually pretty cool at the end. Like, I dig it. I do. But, to sit there and be like, oh, well, this one I was planning on doing X, Y, and Z to, nah, nope, no plan, nothing. It's just like crickets going on right now in my head, because I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing. Just throwing a bunch of colors in together and hoping for the best. But it's fine. It'll be fine. I know it'll be fine because I've seen the end results. You guys haven't yet, but it will be fine. All right, so this has come out 2 minutes in there, and look at how those colors changed. So now, here's the other problem of this whole I want to do what I want to do, is I've got to keep in mind, whatever I add to this, it needs to go both ways, right? So it's got to look good, the color that it is when it's cold, and then the color that it is when it's hot. It's a lot more difficult than you think, because you're sitting here trying to remember, because I'm not trying to like heat it up every 5 seconds to figure out what color it is and then what color was it, because now it gets so hot that it takes a while, like once it's coming out of that UV light and that resin's curing, it gets really hot, right? We all know this, but it takes a long time for it to cool down back to the normal color again. So I'm like, I don't remember what color it was. Should have taken pictures, should have done something, but I don't know. So we're just going to go with it. So for this one, I decided that I wanted to go with like these abalone shells that I had. And I thought that they would look kind of cool, just kind of on the bottom, just as a small kind of accent to it. And, this part of it took me like 102 years because not having a game plan, I'm just like, what can I do? So I thought the key in that one was something that looked good. Now, for this orange one, since it goes between an orange and a yellow, I thought, oh, these little plastic daisies I have would look really, really cute with it, right? Just super simple, like nothing crazy. I think it'll look cool. And then I have the little acrylic butterflies that I thought would look nice. So I put one in there and then I threw one in the one next to it as well. Just to kind of like, I don't know. I need to dress them up. I don't want to just leave them looking like this. I've got to do something. So I really like the orange one. It's gorgeous. And then on the one that I'm working on now is like blue glitter glass. That could look cool. So we're just kind of going in on an angle and throwing some in there. Now, I'm putting it in dry. I'm putting everything in dry just to have it where I want it. And then I'll slowly add the UV resin and kind of get everything saturated with it later on. Figured a few little blue glass pieces in here, just kind of in between those abalone shells, would look kind of neat. And then we're going on with this kind of fuchsia color. And we're going to put it in this purple one. Like, I don't know. I just kind of went with it. Whatever my brain said to do is kind of what I did. But there was a lot of time in between where I had to cut out in the editing process because otherwise we'd be here for a very, very long time where I was twiddling my tweezers or whatever happened to be in my hand, trying to think, what do I do? What's going to look good? What colors are going to go with the colors that I have in there? And it not look stupid and just whatever. So, yeah. Added a little bit of purple glass to this piece, just a tiniest bit, just for accent, because I can. And then on that multicolored dot one, I was like, I'll just throw in a little bit of purple, because the purple was kind of, you could see it. Throw in a little bit of glue, or not glue, blue, and just throw it in and just leave it there. Like, no rhyme reason, just toss it in. Then I added a little bit of gold glass to the orange one. And now we're going to go in with some more abalone shells for this and just put one on each side of this just to give it some interest. Put one on this blue one here, just kind of going up the sides. Put them in just, like I said, just for interest, just to make these pieces look a little bit more unique and dress them up a little bit. Have some fun with it, you know? But then after this, like, I was at a loss. I was like, man, okay, I don't want to keep doing the same thing. Like, I don't want them all to be the same. I want them all to be very unique and very different. But I'm running out of stuff that I feel like will go with the colors that I've got going on here. And that will go with both colors, the hot and cold versions of the colors. So the other one with the butterfly, I was like, okay, I'll do 3 flowers down the side. Now, finished piece, yeah, not so much. Like, the orange one is gorgeous. This one, not my favorite. It's down on that low end of things. Then I have a couple, like, I have the little turtle, like charms for bracelets or whatever, and the dolphin one. So I thought, okay, we'll do 2 kind of oceany type pieces. The colors that I use kind of remind me of it. Throw a little bit of blue glass in the one with the dolphin, just because why not? And then, those little, like, kind of iridescent white crystal little bally things that I throw in stuff from time to time. I decided why not? It's kind of like an underwater type deal, so we'll throw them in here too. Okay, so now we've got pretty much everything set. I did leave that one that's underneath the dolphin just by itself, just because I just wanted to be able to have one just plain. Now we're going to go in here for our top coat. So what I'm going to do is I'm adding just a tad of that Rolio Pearl White. That's kind of like a super sparkle. And then I decided that I want to go in with a tiny bit of that Marabou Rainbow Alcohol ink as well. Just to kind of give it like, you get the one sparkle kind of from the Rolio, but the marabou gives it a whole nother kind of sparkle. So I thought just a little bit, just to kind of jazz these guys up just a little bit more interest, a little bit more sparkle and dimension to it. So that's what I did. And now we're going to go and we're going to start adding the top layer to this. Now, I'm not filling it all up. I'm kind of just putting enough just to cover the bottom and like the glass and all of that stuff, because I want to mix in the resin into the glass and all those other bits and bobs and pieces that I put in, just to make sure that there's no air bubbles trapped, that everything is completely covered in resin. And hopefully I don't get an issue with air bubbles coming out. We'll see. I can just hope that I don't have an issue. But, you know, it's always a chance anytime you add anything in resin, especially if you're putting it in dry like this and then going around. And I don't want to move it around too much because I want to make sure it's like stays where I want it to be at the same time. Now, the dolphin was a little high and I was worried that I wasn't going to be able to get him completely covered, which I don't have an issue with something being out of the resin, like if that's how I want it to be. But in this particular case, if I want it out of the resin, like I want it out of the resin. I don't want it to just be a tiniest bit out of the resin, because that to me looks like you just half-assed it. Like I don't get, it's just like, oh, well, you didn't feel like covering it up the whole way or whatever. Now, if you have it like halfway out that for a reason, okay, fine. But that wasn't what I was going for in this, so I was worried that he wasn't going to be completely covered and part of him would be sticking up. All right, onto these other pieces. It's just the same thing. Now, I did not mix enough of the resin and glitter kind of mixture, not glitter, but the super sparkle or whatever, but that's fine. All I'm going to do is any of those pieces that need to have a little bit more added in, I'm just going to go in and put it straight from the bottle in. I don't want to add any more of the sparkle or the shimmers because I don't want it to overtake it. And especially that marabou can overtake a piece, as we learned not, a couple videos back. It can overtake a piece really quick if you add too much in. I don't want that to happen with these because I think that they have a lot of potential. So I'm not going to add any more. What I have is just a touch. That's all I want. And the rest will just fill up with regular resin. Now, of course, as I was pouring in the regular resin, stuff was moving, so I had to take the time to move it back. I am going to go over, except for the one that I'm working on now, I forgot to hit it with a heat gun. Or not a heat gun, but my lighter. But I will go over this one after I'm done fiddling with it with a lighter to pop any bubbles. I did notice that there happened to be a lot in these ones, probably because this is the ones that have like more concentrated with all the glasses and stuff that all those air pockets get trapped under. So I do take a lot of time getting out any bubbles, making sure nothing's moving, nothing's floating that I don't want it to before I put it under. And then I'm going to let it cure for a good 5 minutes each. Once I demold it, I'm going to let it cure again just because there's just the tiniest bit sticky still on the back. But we'll get to that point here in a minute. But right now, another 5 minutes under the light to get these babies cured should be about all we need, at least for the top part. Now, because of the mold, like I said, I will go in later on and do it again, but it's fine. Okay, so everything's nice and cured. And now it is time to demold these babies. I did get a little bit of overspill just because I was kind of sloppy in how I was doing it. I mean, that's just all there is to it. I think this piece turns out really neat looking. I like it both ways. I like it cold and hot. I think it's super cool. And this one here with the dolphin in, love it. Like, love it. This is one of my top 4 pieces. Like, I really like this piece a lot. My other 2 favorites are this one I hate. Like, I don't like it at all. It's just gross. I couldn't think of anything that I wanted to do with it that I don't like it. The turtle one is another one. I love it. It's so, so cute. He looks like he's on the beach crawling towards the water. Like it a lot. These ones with the abalone shells, they're gorgeous in their own way. Not necessarily in the top of my list, but I do like them a lot. This one as well. And the colors just kind of, I think I did a fairly decent job picking the colors, like all the extra little bits and pieces, that it looks okay for most of them both ways. This one again, it's okay. It's not my favorite at all. The orange one, dude, I like this one a lot. Like, I think it's super pretty. I really, really do. I think it works. It works both. It brightens up the orange with the flowers when it's cold, and when it's hot, and that yellow is beautiful too. This one though is one of my top. Like, I really like this one a lot, and hopefully you'll be able to see like more clearly in the glamour shots. I will do them both hot and cold for you so you can kind of see both results of them. And yeah, this one is another one of my favorites. I like this one a lot too. I think it's really, really pretty. All right, so I am going to let them cure for another 5 minutes. And now we're just going to put on all of the bits and pieces. I kept a few of them that I'm just going to put pinch bails on for necklaces. And then the other ones I'm just going to make into keychains. Now, the only thing that I don't like about these molds and doing it this way is the pinch bails, in my opinion, never seem like they're wide enough. Like, these pieces are, they're not too thick in means of like a necklace. Like, it's not. But as far as the pinch bails go, they're always like super, super thick, and I don't feel like the pinch bails fit them well enough. Like, I know that there's different sizes, and I have bigger ones, but I don't know. I don't know. Like, I just feel like they're too thick. Yeah, I know I don't have to make them that thick, but I also don't want to have to sit there and sand or, file off the edges, because when you make them smaller than the mold, you have all those sharp edges, it's not what I want to do either. So, that's my only issue with it, is that. All right, so this one I'm just putting on a jump ring, and then I'm going to put on a little tassel, and that's pretty much it. I'm just going to go through and add all of these bits and pieces and the hardware to them, clean up any sharp edges that I need to, and that's pretty much it. So, on that note, as I finish this up and, you go through the glamour shots and all that fun stuff, I just want to say thanks again to Let's Resin for all of the fun stuff to play with, and I am looking forward to the both of those other kits and using these powders in the future. Like, I've got some ideas. And thank you guys for watching. So like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. I will catch you guys on Saturday in the next one. Love ya. Bye.